What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So Michigan State is coming off a big-time Big Ten road win at Maryland this past Saturday. Come back to Spartan Stadium to face Prairie View A&M Panthers at 3:30 on BTN this Saturday. What does Prairie View A&M do well, and what do we want to see from Michigan State in this game going forward? Plus, of course, our Week 3 bets went 2 for 4 last week, moving the season record to 7-12. Not bad. Could be better. Like to get back 3-4 or 4-4 this week to put us back in a good position for the season overall record. But first, before we do hop into the game preview, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down there for more Michigan State content as we move through the season. So Prairie View A&M is 1-1 on the season. They got a win at Northwestern State last week, 37-31. Last year, they went 6-6, 6-2 record in the SWAC. They lost to SMU last year. Power 14, the last one they played, they lost 69-0. The Panthers are led by junior quarterback Cameron Peters, who on the season is 28 for 53 for 391 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Junior Connor Wisham leads the way on the ground with 98 rushing yards and a touchdown. Senior Shamar Savage has 238 yards and a touchdown on the season from the receiving corps. Defensively, look, they forced 2 sacks on the season and 2 interceptions. But overall, this is a really good SWAC team. They played in the SWAC championship game last year. But this is a game that Michigan State should win. I believe right now the spread is at about 40.5 for MSU. So we move over to the Michigan State side of things. You're coming off that big win at Maryland. As we said from the jump, looking for them to just get more comfortable working in the offense together, for me, is what I'm looking for from Aiden Childs last week. As we talked about in the recap, we still saw a couple of balls that just sailed on him. A couple of them, unfortunately, sailed and were intercepted. Obviously, last week had the 3 interceptions, but had the 3 touchdowns and over 300-plus yards, which was Aiden Childs' best game in college so far. And the things we'd like to see from Aiden Childs, both at the end of the half and the end of the game. He had the ball in his hands, chance to go down, score, get a field goal to, at halftime, put them up 17-14. And then at the end of the game, obviously, put them in position for Jonathan Kim to hit that game-winning field goal. So we like seeing that. I don't think, especially on paper, but obviously with some of the craziness that is college football and even some of the craziness we've seen this year, anything can happen. But you hope MSU is not in that position at the end of the game to have the ball in his hands this week in particular to go win. Hopefully we can, work some things out first couple quarters and then, possibly see Tommy Schuster and, maybe Alessio Milojevic, some of the other guys get in there to get some other guys' feet wet in the college game. But you already faced a tough test in Maryland for this Michigan State team. They got a tough test next week with a road game at Boston College, and that was just announced as a night game, 8 o'clock. So work on that rhythm on the offensive side of the ball with some new pieces on that offensive line as you're still kind of moving some pieces around, seeing what lineups works best, and unfortunately suffering an injury there as well. And then on the defensive side of the ball, unfortunately, have had some injuries there. So, get some new guys in new spots that will be playing a lot more snaps this coming week and for the coming weeks and the rest of the season, more than likely due to some unfortunate injuries for some of our guys on both sides of the ball. And while we're on that, to update some of the injuries, we already talked about some last week that were season-ending or at least till November in Alante Brown, and then obviously Dylan Tatum and Khalil Majid. Well, right before the game on Saturday, we found out that Christian Phillips, offensive lineman, obviously at right guard, starting there for the first game against Florida Atlantic. Sounds like he's going to be out for the remainder of the year is what it's sounding like. And then Jonathan Smith did update on Monday with some more injuries. Chance Rucker, 6 to 8 weeks with an upper body injury. Apparently Antonio Gates, who we saw get in the game on Saturday, had a catch. Sounds like he was dealing with a little bit of an ankle injury. But as we said, got in last week, got a catch, and it sounds like he's moving more of a full go now. Jerron Gulliver and Ed Woods both got banged up a little bit in the game on Saturday, But Jonathan Smith is hopeful that they'll be able to go this week, but we'll monitor it as the week goes on. Again, as I said, I think this is a game that is mostly about MSU finding its rhythm, continuing to find its rhythm on both sides. Obviously, there was a major improvement from the offensive side of the ball from week 1 to week 2. Obviously, not just more yards, but more efficient and looked better overall. Now, another week for more improvement, more cohesion, offensive line, receivers, quarterback, running backs with that offensive line as well. Then on the defensive side, obviously going to need some guys to step up with a couple of injuries there as well. So just seeing how they continue to play. As we said, week 1 had a bunch of sacks. Last week, not a lot of sacks. But overall, they were able to hold up really well. Force a critical turnover with that Darius Snow breaking up the pass that forced the Charles Brantley interception. That was huge in the game. Continue to see that, keep working on that, and that cohesion on the defensive side of the ball too. Like, that's not an offensive thing only. This is a defensive thing too, working on that cohesion across the board with guys in certain spots. So looking forward to seeing some more of that. I will say I kept saying during the game on Saturday, open field tackling. It is incredible to see our guys make open field tackles, which is something that I don't think this previous coaching staff ever taught, because it seemed like every open field tackle on a 3rd and 25, catch the ball 5 yards downfield and would end up 45 yards downfield. Like, the open field tackling was incredible. So just looking to see more progress from this defense and just continue to improve as we move in to the meat of the schedule here. Starting next week, really tough game at Boston College, and then moving into that gauntlet going forward in Big Ten play once we pick that back up. So in theory, I know not a whole lot of X's and O's for either side on this game. But listen, I think this is kind of just a tighten the screws game in all phases. Looking forward to getting back in Spartan Stadium, seeing the team there in person, and seeing them fly around and hopefully get a comfortable win, put this thing away early, and like I said, maybe get some see some Tommy Schuster, maybe some Alessio Milojevic at quarterback, see what we can do. But first things first, you got to handle the business up front. This is a good SWAC team, as we said, has some good players, as Jonathan Smith said in his Monday press conference. So this isn't just a walkover game. This is about you, and you have to, if you handle your business, then this should be, you see the 40.5 point spread at time of recording should be what it is. But in college football, we know what should happen usually doesn't happen. So need to come out and execute, start fast, and get some rhythm to get these guys some work in, and then continuing to work all the guys in. Tighten the screws, as I said, going forward with a really tough game starting next week, and then the Big Ten gauntlet as we get into the end of September into October. So let's just move into my week 3 college football bets. As I said at the top, 2-4 last week, 7-12 overall on the season. So first, I'll go with our game. Michigan State versus Prairie View A&M. I'm not going to touch the spread right now. I will go with the over 50.5 at -110 though. Next up, Texas A&M at Florida. I got Texas A&M at -4.5. Got that at -106. And then Maryland at Virginia. I got Maryland -2.5 at -110. And then lastly, under 39.5 in BYU at Wyoming at -110. I'm sorry, but anytime Jay Johnson is involved in calling plays for any offense in college football, give me the under, obviously there for Wyoming. Put that in a parlay, you get plus 12.52, $5 wins you $62.61. Again, at time of recording, as I'm recording this and previously looked this up, that's probably already changed a little bit, but that's where we sit for our week 3 bets. So that's going to do it for this one. We'll obviously be back this weekend following the game to recap it, and looking forward for Michigan State, as after this one is when really the gauntlet really stretches. How Boston College has looked. Everyone said that Ohio State to Michigan game, end of September to end of October, that gauntlet, but I think that's really been moved up a week with how Boston College has looked. Obviously ranked right now 24th, I believe, in the polls. So tough game starting next week. Get everything figured out this week. Get that chemistry going to put yourself in a good position going on the road next week, and set yourself up for this gauntlet going forward. So that's going to do it. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.